Thank you so much for the intro. My name is Ryuji. Like I said, okay, cool, you can hear me. So I've been making videos for like 10 years. I've been making animal rights content for 4 years. I've worked with different organizations and stuff. And so I think this session here will help people who make videos, whether you make videos casually or you want to get into it more. Maybe you are a filmmaker yourself, or it's your hobby to make videos and you would like to make videos that help animals, then this might help you. Now, as far as what I do, I mainly make educational videos about the plight of animals, mostly farm animals, to expose what happens to them and to inspire attitude change. And the general public is basically what I do. So what I talk about will apply mostly to that, but I think really it applies to all sorts of things when it comes to making videos, making content, or even making films. So as I was thinking about how to present this, I was thinking about what are the most important lessons I've learned over the past 10 years that I've been doing this. And I think the best way for me to present this is by telling you about the mistakes I've made. So I've actually have here a list of 7 mistakes. I think these are 7 things that, 7 lessons that if I had learned sooner, I'd be a much better filmmaker today and I would have made much better content on the way. And I think these are kind of like frameworks that I use whenever I'm thinking about making something or I'm in the process of making something. This is how I think about the process of creating videos. So anyways, without further ado, I think we'll get into it. And so the first mistake that I made about when making videos is believing that filmmaking is a talent, that it's something that you either have or you don't have. So I started making videos about 10 years ago. And when I started, I was really bad, like embarrassingly bad. If you watch some of my oldest videos, and I've made plenty of different types of videos. I made videos that look like music videos, short films, then I tried making vlogs and tried making videos where I talk to the camera. And every time I tried something new, it was just horrible. And there were times when I wanted to give up because I was like, I don't think this is for me. But the crucial thing that luckily I somehow persevered through and I understood was that making great videos is a skill. It's similar to learning an instrument or a new language or learning to ride a bicycle. It's not something that you're born being able to do, but if you put your mind to it, you can actually get better at it and learn to do it better. So right now, if you are looking at videos that are amazing and you're like, I would love to do this, I would love to make something like this, but I have no idea how. Well, obviously, you're not able to do that today, but if you actually put your mind to it and you work over a long period of time, then you can learn to do that. It's just a set of skills. You just have to learn how to use a camera and use editing software and do music and put sound effects and do color. And like, they're just separate skills that you learn. And then one day you're able to make a great video. So the first thing to remember is that it's a skill and this is absolutely learnable. Now, the second mistake that I made is that I thought that making great videos was all about making videos that look great. So if you look at video tutorials on YouTube, you search how to make videos or, like filmmaking tutorial, most of the videos you're going to see are about how to make a video look good. They're about how to use different lenses and lighting setups. Maybe some are about making a video sound good, but it's all about the technical aspect of filmmaking. And that's really important. But the problem is that's not the core of what great filmmaking is. And in fact, at the core of great filmmaking and great content creation is telling a good story. So the best way that I would explain this to you is think about your favorite movie or TV show and think about what you love about it. Most likely something along the line of, you remember how it made you feel, or maybe it's the plot twist that you remember, or the characters that you loved or hated. You remember the things that are related to the story. Sure, I'm sure that film or that TV show looks good, but the looking good part is not actually the main point. Things like the lighting and the angles and the sound design, these things help tell the story, but they're not the main focus. They're not the main point of what makes that film good. What makes it good is the story. And in filmmaking, story was, is, and forever will be king, the most important thing. And if I for the longest time, what I did is I basically try to make my videos look good. Like I learned all this stuff. And for the first maybe 6 to 7 years of making videos, that's all I focused on. And I really regret that because it's only about 2-3 years ago that I started trying to even understand what does it mean to tell a good story, which by the way, I'll talk about a little bit. But it's only recently that I started trying to understand that. And that's when really my videos became like a lot more impactful. It wasn't just like a pretty thing that people could look at, but it was something that people could consume, and it would actually change their perspective or change their life. So focus on the story, not on making something look good. Now, the third thing, and this is really relevant to making content about something like animal rights, is that no one cares about the important stuff. So as someone who makes animal rights related content, all I ever want to do is talk about things that I believe are important, right? Like I think the plight of animals is a really, really urgent issue. I think that what we're doing to animals should stop yesterday. And so all I want to do is to make stuff and be like, world, please watch this because it's so important. And that's cool. But the problem is that most people spend most of their time not watching or consuming content they think is important. They actually consume content that they think is interesting or fun to them. So again, I would ask you to look at yourself and what you do in your spare time, right? So like when you think about the vast majority of media you watch, whether it be on YouTube or on any platform, do you watch stuff that you think is important, or do you watch stuff that is interesting to you, right? Are you learning about how you can help solve the most pressing issues in the world? Or are you watching fun YouTube videos and cute animals doing cute things, or Netflix, or even maybe your friends' Instagram stories? The reality is that most of us know more about the drama between fictional characters in fictional TV shows than a lot of stuff that actually matters. And like, we can judge that all we want, but in my opinion, the best thing to do is to embrace that and use it, right? So now when I make content, the primary question I ask myself is this interesting? I ask myself, how can I make this interesting to the person who's watching? Not just what is the important thing I want to say? Sure, I want to say something that's important, but I think that what is interesting comes first, because then at least people will give it a chance. If I just talk about what I think is important, a lot less people will give it a chance. So now the fourth thing is about sharing. So I want to talk about sharing content and getting people to share your content, right? And the mistake I made, well, I actually didn't personally make this mistake, but it's a mistake I see a lot of people making, and is that people they ask for the share. So in other words, they'll put out a video or photo or a thing, and they'll be like, hey, everyone, could you please share this? Why? Because it would either really help me, or I think it's really important. And now it's not necessarily a bad thing to ask people to share something. Like you can do it, but the problem is that the majority of people don't share things because you want them to share them. People share things because they themselves want to share it. There's something that's in it for them. So if you think about yourself again, the last time that you shared a video with a friend or a family member, or your community maybe, think about why you shared it. Most likely you didn't share it because the person who made that video said, hey, please share it because it would help me, or I think this is a really important thing. Most likely you shared it because maybe it made you feel something. So maybe you felt inspired, you felt really angry, or maybe it just made you laugh and you wanted to share that feeling with someone. Or you sent it to someone and you said, you got to watch this. It's so funny. You got to watch this. It's so interesting. You got to watch this. I cannot believe how messed up this is, right? So the catchphrase here, the thing to remember, is you shared it because you said, hey, you have to watch this. It's so funny or interesting or messed up, or a certain feeling that it made you feel. Now, the second reason why you might have shared something is because you felt like by sharing this piece of content, you were bonding with the friend or community you shared it with, right? So for example, you were just having a conversation with a friend about this certain topic, and then you happen to stumble upon a video that's talking about this exact topic, right? So for example, let's take an example that might be relevant to all of us. So you're talking to your friend and you're talking to them about the standard practices in the egg industry. You're just having this conversation, then you go home. And then you see a video on the topic. You tell yourself, oh, I just talked about this with my friend. Let me share this with them. And you say, hey, this is the thing that we were just talking about. And by doing that, you're creating a mutual understanding of a specific topic, and you feel like you'll grow closer, right? Because now you have this thing in common. You talked about it, now you shared it, and you're deepening the relationship with that person. Or maybe it's a problem that the person was having, right? This is maybe very relatable for a lot of people where they're like, hey, I was trying to, this actually happened to one of my friends where she was like, I'm trying to learn a new language. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I watched this great video on learning new languages. Let me send it to you, right? Because it's helping them with a problem that they're having. And I feel like I'm building the relationship by sharing the video with them. And the third reason why you might have shared something is because it increased your status, so to speak. So what I mean by that is that everything we do signals things about our self-identity. We're always communicating to people how we want people to perceive us and what we want people to think about us, right? So great examples is the clothes that we wear. I'm wearing this like jacket thing right now because I'm trying to look like I have something smart to say or something like that. And so I wear this to try to communicate that visually, right? But we do this with the content that we share. And this applies a lot to the content that we share, say, on our stories on Instagram or on social media publicly. A lot of times people share things because it says something about who they are. So for example, if they share a post about a specific issue, they're saying, hey, look at me. By the way, I just want to let you know, I care about this issue. And it increases your status because it makes you seem like someone who cares about the world or who cares about social justice. And I'm not saying that you don't care about those things if you share them. Like I'm sure you do, and I'm sure like the people who do. But the point is that that is a thing that it communicates, right? Or for example, if you share something artistic, you are saying to the world, hey, I have great taste in art, right? A great example of this is at the end of the year where you see everyone sharing the Spotify Wrapped thing or whatever that thing is called, where it's, Spotify makes this compilation of the songs you listen to and your favorite albums and your favorite artists and all that. And you can share it on Instagram in the form of a story. What is that doing? That is communicating to people, hey, this is my taste in music. I am cool because I like this. People are very proud of the music they listen to and they want to share it with the world, thus, quote, increasing their status. So the point of all this is that if you want people to share your content, you want to make stuff and not just ask people to share it and say, hey, can you share this because I made it, because I think it's important. But ask yourself, what would make someone want to share it? How can I make someone feel something that they'll want to share with someone? How can I make a piece of content that helps people explain something that's on their minds to other people? Or how can I make something that people will identify with, where they can proudly share it and say, hey, this is what I stand for. This is what I believe. The question you want to ask yourself is, how can I make something that's so good that people can't stop but share it? And then you won't even have to ask people to share it. They'll just do it, not because you ask them, but because they genuinely want to do it. Okay, so moving on to the next thing is about communication. So filmmaking is all about communication, right? You make a video, it's to communicate something, a feeling, a message, a story. You're saying something. Now, when I was in high school and I would write papers, I wanted to sound smart. And so what I did is I would use these like big words and these complicated sentence structures. And I thought, well, that's what it means to be smart, right? And thinking back, I really regret that because that must have been just a huge headache for the teachers who had to grade my papers. But the point is that lately I've realized that great communication is not about using complicated words and complicated sentence structures, but it's actually about being really simple. You want to use really simple words that people understand and use really simple sentences that are really easy to understand. So a great example of this is like nonfiction best-selling authors. So if you read a best-selling nonfiction book, the characteristic that they all have in common is that they're extremely easy to understand. You can pick up a book about history or about math or about medicine or about anything. If it's a great book that's written for a general audience, you can have no prior knowledge on the topic whatsoever, but understand everything that's inside it. And I think that that's what we need to try to do as people are trying to communicate through video. We want to use simple language that's easy to understand. And the question you want to ask yourself when you're making content, in my opinion, is what I ask myself, is how can I make this so easy to understand that if I was a kid with no prior knowledge of this topic I'm talking about, I would still understand it effortlessly. And if you're able to do that, then people will have, like, that is a great part of the value that we bring as people who make anything that's educational is we're basically taking thoughts and ideas that people have and want to express, and we're expressing them in a way that's extremely simple and easy to understand. And by the way, this will also help people share what you're producing, because they're like, this is a great explanation of X, Y, and Z. I would love to share this with people because I want people to know about this. This is a simple way that is explained. Great, I'm going to share this. Okay, now moving on. The sixth mistake, quote unquote, that I made while learning how to make videos is I didn't understand what made video a unique medium. So you think about video, like why would you make a video about something as opposed to making a podcast or maybe writing a blog post or sharing an image? Like, what makes video so special, right? And the answer is that video combines video and sound. It has both those elements together, and it's pretty much the only thing that has that. And that being the case, if we are to make great videos, I think it's really important that first we're conscious of that, and then that we use that. So a great example of this is Vox. So I don't know if any of you know Vox. If not, I would urge you to check out their videos. They make incredible videos about all sorts of stuff, but they're basically like a newspaper, but they're basically a newspaper, but they also make like video reports about all sorts of stuff. They cover like things that happen in the world, but also just random topics that are interesting, like like random architecture facts that are kind of interesting. And the thing that sets their videos apart, and that always blew my mind personally, is you watch it and they always have the perfect visual for every single thing they talk about. They'll talk about statistics and they'll have the perfect graph. They'll talk about a historical event and they have all the photos and the video from that particular historical period. And I asked myself, how do they find all these images and footage and all these graphs? And the answer is they plan for it. So what they do is they quite literally, before they even write a script for one of their videos, they will actually go look for all the visuals. They'll look for the photos and the videos and the graphs and all that. And then they will write a script based on the visuals that they have, because they understand that they're making a video. If we don't have the visuals to illustrate our points, then what is the point of making a video? We might as well just write an article at that point. And so one of the most profound lessons I learned making videos is the visuals are so important. And especially if you're doing something that requires writing and you're writing a script and you want to put some images over it, do the research first before you write the script. Find like images and graphs and whatever to illustrate your points, and then write your script knowing what you have. And by the way, what they do at Vox also is if they have a point that they want to make, but they don't have the visuals to actually illustrate the points, they won't even put it in the video. That's how obsessed they are with having the right visuals for everything, right? So I think that's a great lesson that we can all learn from. It's just pay attention to just the visuals. And the seventh thing, and this is about optimizing videos for social media, is cutting the fluff. So the best skill that you can develop, in my opinion, when it comes to improving your video skills is the skill of looking at other people's videos and understanding what makes them great, and then comparing them to the work that you do. So that was kind of like abstract the way I put it. But really the way that this works is when you make a video, you want to watch it back and imagine that you don't know yourself. You don't know who you are, and you are watching this video for the first time. And when you're able to take this perspective, you'll notice all sorts of things about the video. So for example, you might notice that, well, I made this 3-minute video. The first minute of this video is actually not really interesting. It's kind of boring. So you might want to do something about that. But really what you want to do, especially if you're making videos for platforms like Instagram or TikTok, where it's like short form content, is you want to cut out anything that's repetitive. Say you're making a 1-minute video. And I think like a great example of this, actually, a lot of the videos that I put out. So if you go on my personal Instagram, which is @peacebyvegan, and you watch the clips that are there, I think those are great examples because I put a lot of effort into really cutting out all the fluff and everything that's super repetitive. But the formula for videos on social media is at the very beginning of the video, you want to tell people why they might want to watch this video. You want to give them a reason to stick around until the end. If by 5-10 seconds in, people don't know what they're watching and why they're watching it, they're going to leave, right? Think about how you watch videos on Instagram. If you're watching something, 5 seconds later, you don't understand what this video is, you're out of there. So you need to communicate, whether it's through text or through saying something. People need to know what they're watching. Then the video needs to move forward. So for example, if you make one point, you don't want to make the point again, just move on to the next thing. You want it to be moving forward at a pace where people don't get bored. Because if you make a point and then you make the point again, then most likely people are just going to leave. So you need to make sure it moves forward. And then as soon as you're done making the point, like say at the beginning, you say, this is what this video is about. So I'll give you a quick example. This video is about 3 shocking facts about the egg industry. Okay, you say that. So people watch it, they're like, oh, I'm going to learn 3 things about the egg industry. Great. Then you say, point number 1, this. Point number 2, this. Point number 3, this. And as soon as you finish point number 3, that's it. You end the video because you've said, I'm going to tell you 3 things about the egg industry. I told you 3 things, and then you're out of there. And if you make videos like that and combine it with the other stuff that I talk about, that is a great recipe for a great video on especially the new and emerging social media platforms. So I think I'm right about at 20 minutes. So that's going to be my time for the talk. And I think we will do questions now.